50 years into the future, the city no longer moves with haste. The once constant noise has faded. The streets are not as crowded, the cars are fewer, and the buildings seem to breathe with silence. Where once people hurried from place to place, now they walk slower, noticing things they once ignored. Time feels less like a race and more like a soft rhythm. In a peaceful corner of this new world, far from the heart of the city, stands a small cottage on a gentle hill. The cottage is simple. Its wooden walls hold memories of laughter and quiet evenings. The garden outside is filled with wildflowers that bloom freely, untouched by heavy hands or loud machines. The sun sets here in colors that speak to the soul: soft orange, gentle pink, and deep gold. Inside this home lives an old man. His face carries the lines of a life well lived. Each wrinkle tells a story of joy, of sadness, of waiting, and of finding. His hair is white like the clouds drifting slowly across the sky. His steps are slower now, but steady. His hands tremble just a little as he pours tea into a cup worn smooth from years of use. He sits by the window, in a chair older than his grandchildren, if he had any. The view outside calms him. Rolling hills, whispering trees, and the sound of birds calling to each other as the day fades. In his hands, he holds the warm cup close, and in his eyes, there's a faraway light. Not from what he sees, but from what he remembers. The man remembers laughter. He hears it sometimes in the wind. A child's giggle, a woman's soft laugh, the kind of sound that stays even after the people are gone. He remembers the clinking of glasses, the songs at family dinners, the jokes shared under starlit skies. He remembers music, not from speakers, but from hearts. A guitar in the corner, dusty now, once filled the rooms with melodies and meaning. He remembers loss too. Not all memories are warm, some are heavy. He remembers letting go of hands he wished he could hold forever. Friends who left too soon. Voices he'll never hear again. He sometimes talks to them in his sleep. And when he wakes, he places a gentle hand on his chest and whispers, "I still carry you." The past doesn't haunt him anymore. It simply sits beside him, like an old friend. And love, he remembers love most of all. The way it surprised him when he least expected it. The way it changed shape over time, but never left. Love that danced in the rain, cried at train stations, and waited at doors. He remembers quiet nights spent beside someone who truly understood him. He can still feel the warmth of fingers interlaced with his, even though those hands are no longer here. His world is smaller now. He doesn't travel like he once did. The cities, the airports, the endless movement, all those have become memories too. But even in this small circle of life, everything feels fuller. The morning tea, the slow walks in the garden, the sound of the wind brushing through leaves. Each moment feels like a poem. Every breath he takes carries weight. It carries peace. He listens to the silence in ways he never could before. Silence used to frighten him. It used to feel empty. Now, it's filled with meaning. In the stillness, he hears his own heartbeat, a soft rhythm that reminds him he's still here, still alive, still feeling. He places a hand on his chest, not in pain, but in appreciation. Once, his days were loud. He worked hard, he chased dreams, he faced disappointments, and he found victories. But in all the rushing, he often missed the beauty of the moment. Now, he notices things. The way sunlight dances on the floor, the way steam curls from his tea, the way the earth smells after rain. These small things speak louder than the world ever did. He keeps old letters in a drawer. Some are from friends, long gone, some from a time when handwriting meant more than quick texts. He reads them sometimes, out loud, letting the voices of the past fill the room again. There are photos, too, worn edges, faded smiles, but never forgotten faces. He doesn't need a calendar anymore. His days are not measured in hours, but in moments. Visitors come sometimes. A kind neighbor brings fresh bread. A young boy from the village helps with the garden. They sit with him, not out of duty, but because he listens. He tells stories, not grand ones, but true ones, about a first job, a broken bike, a friend who once saved his life with just a joke. His stories are like medicine, gentle, healing, real. He writes, too. Not for anyone else, just for himself. Thoughts in notebooks. Feelings he never had time to feel before. He writes about the stars, about memories, about how time has softened him. His writing is slow, but full of heart. He doesn't care if no one reads it. Writing helps him remember who he is, who he was, and who he still wants to be. At night, he sits outside wrapped in a blanket. The sky above is quiet, vast, and honest. He watches the stars, not for answers, but for comfort. They remind him that he is part of something bigger, something endless. A breeze brushes against his cheek like a kiss from someone he once loved. He closes his eyes and smiles. He doesn't need much. The old radio still works. He listens to songs that once made his heart race. He hums along. The tea tastes the same every morning. The chair creaks when he leans back. The birds visit the same branch every afternoon. Nothing is grand, but everything is just right. Sometimes he walks with a cane. His legs may not carry him far, but his mind travels wherever it wants. He dreams of places he loved. He visits old cafes in his thoughts. He talks to people he misses. And in those moments, he is young again. Not in body, but in spirit. There's a painting on the wall, a gift from someone who once knew him well. It shows the same hill he now calls home. It's a little different. More trees, less age, but still familiar. He looks at it often, not to remember, but to feel. It's not the past he clings to. It's the feeling of belonging. He no longer worries about the future. The world will keep moving, with or without him. What matters now is today, this moment, this breath, this cup of tea. He's learned that peace doesn't come from having everything but from needing very little. Sometimes when the wind is just right, he hears a voice say, "You lived well." He nods softly, not out of pride, but out of quiet understanding. He knows he made mistakes, but he also knows he tried. And in the end, he loved. That matters most. The cottage remains still under the stars. The hills breathe with life. The garden glows softly in the moonlight. And inside, the old man drifts into sleep, holding on to nothing but peace. No regrets. No noise. Just the soft echo of a life lived with heart. A quiet return. Her journey back to peace. 50 years have passed. Now, she walks slowly, barefoot, along a quiet dirt path that once carried the sound of her laughter and the light rhythm of tiny running feet. This was her playground long ago, the very place where her childhood began. The ground beneath her feet is softer than she remembers, covered in fallen leaves and memories too deep for words. As her steps press gently into the earth, she feels a connection that time could not break. Back then, she had run without fear, chasing butterflies, dreams, and time itself. The air was filled with adventure, the sun always seemed brighter, and life had a rhythm that danced with every heartbeat. She remembers running through these trees, with her hair untied, laughter echoing through the forest. Now, her hair is streaked with silver, her body slower, but her spirit is even stronger. The trees she once raced past are taller now, their trunks thick with age. They've grown silently beside her, like old friends who stood through storms and seasons, never leaving. As she looks up at their branches stretching towards the sky, she sees how time shapes everything. Not just the forest, but people too. These trees hold stories in their bark, just like she holds stories in her heart. She touches one gently with her fingers, the bark rough beneath her skin. This is where she once carved her name, a little girl trying to leave a mark on the world. The mark is faded now, worn down by time and weather, but she smiles because that girl still lives within her. Not lost, just quieter. Her life has taken many turns. There were cities, busy streets, crowded buses, long days, and even longer nights. There were moments when she forgot who she truly was, buried beneath schedules, responsibilities, and expectations. There were dreams she outgrew, and dreams that grew inside her quietly, without her even noticing. She gave, she waited, she fought, and sometimes she broke, but she always found her way back to herself. Now, she isn't chasing time anymore. She used to think life was a race, that she had to reach every goal quickly, tick every box, and always be moving forward. But time taught her otherwise. It taught her that stillness holds wisdom, that rushing often makes you miss the beauty in front of you, that the most meaningful moments are the quiet ones, not the loud victories. She stops near an old wooden bench, now covered with moss. It's not as strong as it once was, but it still holds her weight. She sits down and closes her eyes. The breeze brushes her face gently, like a long-lost friend saying hello. Birdsong floats through the air, soft and distant. She breathes it all in deeply. The air, the silence, the peace she had spent so many years searching for. In her younger years, peace felt like a destination, something far away, maybe only found in holidays or books or daydreams. But now, sitting in this forest with no shoes on and no hurry in her soul, she understands. Peace is not a place. It's a state of being. It's in the way she lets the wind touch her skin. It's in the way she smiles at the sunlight slipping through leaves. It's in every breath she allows herself to fully feel. This peace didn't arrive easily. It came slowly, often through pain. It grew in moments of doubt, in times when she felt completely alone. It was shaped by heartbreak, failure, and letting go. She had to unlearn noise. She had to release the need to prove herself. She had to make room in her life for quiet, for self-love, for rest. That took years. That took strength. And yet, despite all that effort, the peace stayed. That's the part she's most grateful for. It didn't visit briefly. It settled inside her like a steady flame. Not always bright, but always there. It reminds her each day that she doesn't need to run anymore. She doesn't need to be more, do more, or go faster. Who she is now is enough. She opens her eyes and gazes at the trees again. Their leaves dance in the wind, whispering secrets she can almost understand. She thinks about how much life she has lived, the people she met, the love she gave, the love she lost. There were promises, and there were regrets, but there was always growth. She remembers holding a baby once, years ago, her child, warm and fragile. She remembers how time sped up after that. Every day was filled with tasks, needs, noise, and still, in small moments, she found beauty. In a smile, in a sleepy hug, in the mess of everyday life. Those moments kept her going. She also remembers the goodbyes, not just the ones said out loud, but the silent ones. The people who drifted away, the dreams that had to be released, the younger version of herself that she had to leave behind. Each goodbye carved out space in her soul for something new, and now she carries all those stories in her heart like quiet treasures. As the sky shifts to orange, she stands up slowly. Her bones ache, but her heart feels light. She walks a little further down the path, past a stream that still sings the same song. The water is clearer now, as if it too has aged with grace. She kneels beside it, touches the cool surface, and watches the ripples spread. Every ripple reminds her of how one small action can carry far beyond what we see. She remembers her first love, how they laughed in the rain, how they cried under the stars, how they promised forever. That forever was shorter than she imagined, but it taught her what it meant to feel deeply, to give completely. That love still echoes inside her, not with pain, but with warmth. She remembers the time she left home, scared and excited, the way the train windows reflected her face full of hope. She didn't know then how much she'd change, how life would soften her edges, how it would sharpen her wisdom. She didn't know she would one day return, not to start over, but to remember who she had been all along. Now, as she walks back toward the cottage that once belonged to her grandparents, she feels rooted. The same trees that watched her grow now witness her healing. The earth beneath her feet welcomes her as if saying, "You made it." She enters the cottage slowly. The floor creaks the same way it used to. The smell of old wood and fresh herbs fills the air. She lights a small lamp and sits beside the window. Outside, the forest glows in the last light of day. Inside, everything feels safe. She picks up a journal, one she's kept for decades. The pages are filled with sketches, poems, little notes to herself. She writes a new line. Peace didn't come quickly, but it came to stay. And she smiles because that sentence is the truest thing she's ever written. She pours herself a cup of warm tea, cradles it in both hands, and listens. Not to the world, but to her own heartbeat. A rhythm that reminds her she is alive, she is whole, and she is finally at rest. Not because life became perfect, but because she stopped needing it to be. Outside, the stars begin to appear. The forest hums with life, and inside that quiet home, an old woman sits barefoot, smiling at a life that taught her not how to run, but how to be still. 50 years have passed. The world has changed in many ways, yet some things remain just as beautiful. The sky is still wide and blue. The grass still grows green after the rain. Flowers continue to bloom each season, just as they always did. The laughter of children still fills the air, echoing across gardens, fields, and playgrounds. But now, it is not her childhood she sees in them. It's her grandchildren. The young ones running around are part of her story. Their energy reminds her of who she used to be, full of excitement, always curious, always moving. She watches them with a quiet joy, seated on a wooden chair beneath a shady tree, her eyes following their every move. She smiles as they chase each other, shouting with happiness, their tiny feet stomping across the lawn. She remembers doing the same many years ago, back when her own world was brand new and unexplored. Time has passed since those early days, but the joy in their games is the same. Life continues in these small moments. Her voice, once full of energy, is now softer. It carries warmth, not force. When she speaks, people listen, not because she shouts, but because her words carry wisdom. Her hands, once busy and fast, have slowed. They move gently, as if every motion matters. She no longer rushes. She takes her time, and there's beauty in that. She spends her mornings in the garden, planting, watering, touching the soil. She says that nature teaches patience. You put something in the ground, care for it, and wait. And if you're kind and consistent, something lovely grows. That's how she sees life now. Not a race, not a struggle, just a slow, beautiful process of becoming. Her home is quiet, but not empty. It's filled with photographs, hand-drawn pictures from the grandchildren, little notes on the fridge, and the scent of fresh bread. Music sometimes plays from a small speaker, soft songs that float through the rooms like gentle breezes. She hums along, tapping her fingers lightly against her chair's armrest. In the afternoons, the children often gather around her. They sit on cushions or lean against her legs, their eyes wide, waiting for her to begin. But she doesn't open a book. She speaks from memory, from experience. She tells stories of when she was young, real moments that shaped her life. These tales come with emotion, color, and truth. She tells them about the time she got lost at the market and how a kind stranger helped her find her mother. She shares The moment she got her first job, nervous and unsure, but proud. She describes the day she became a mother, how everything changed with the first cry of her baby. She talks about love, how it feels to be cared for, and how important it is to give love back. Her stories aren't full of heroes with magic powers. They are about ordinary people doing brave things in quiet ways. She teaches the children that being kind, patient, and honest matters more than being fast or loud. She shows them how to notice little things, like the way leaves dance in the wind, or how someone's smile can light up a whole room. At night, when the sky turns dark and the stars appear, she tucks the little ones into bed. They wrap their arms around her, holding on tightly. They ask for just one more story, and she laughs softly, agreeing almost every time. She sits beside them, the warm glow of a small lamp lighting her face, and begins again. As they listen, their eyes slowly close, but hers stay open. In these quiet bedtime moments, she feels something surprising. She feels young again. Not in her body, which moves slowly now, not in her hair, which has turned gray over the years, but inside, in her spirit, she feels light, like she's returned to something that never left her. It's a special kind of youth, not loud or wild, but peaceful and full of meaning. It lives in the way she connects with her family, in the laughter they share, the meals they cook together, the long walks they take through the countryside. It lives in the calm happiness of knowing who she is and where she belongs. She doesn't miss the past, but she treasures it. She looks at life not as something that was better before, but as a long and beautiful journey with many seasons. Each one had its own lessons, and she's thankful for all of them, even the hard ones. Pain taught her compassion. Loss taught her appreciation. Silence taught her to listen. Her grandchildren often ask her, "What was life like when you were young?" She tells them it was different. There were fewer screens, more letters, more face-to-face conversations. People knew their neighbors. They played outside all day. They waited for things, and in that waiting, they learned patience. But she also tells them that every time has its gifts. Today, they can learn more easily. They can speak to someone across the world in seconds. They have chances she never imagined. Still, she reminds them that even with all these tools, the heart stays the same. People need love, connection, laughter, and care, no matter the year. She shows them old photographs, black and white moments frozen in time. Her own childhood, her wedding day, the first house she lived in, the garden she once planted, her children when they were small. The kids listen, wide-eyed, amazed at how different and yet how similar things were. They ask questions, sometimes funny, sometimes deep. She answers them all, happy to share what she's lived and learned. Through their eyes, she relives those moments. It brings her joy to know that even as time moves on, the stories remain. They become bridges between generations, helping young minds understand the value of experience. On some days when it's quiet, she sits alone by the window. The world outside moves slowly. A bird sings in a nearby tree. A leaf falls gently to the ground. She watches, content. Her heart is full, not of things but of memories, of people, of love. She has lived fully, and now she rests in that truth. There are moments of sadness too, times when she misses those who are gone, old friends, family members, her partner. But instead of letting sorrow take over, she lets those memories warm her. She lights a candle in their honor. She speaks their names, and in doing so, they live on in her stories and in the hearts of the little ones who hear them. She believes that life is not measured by speed or success, but by love given and received. By how many times you listened instead of talked. By how often you chose kindness, even when it was hard. By the smiles you brought to others. That is the life she has lived. That is the life she passes on. As another day ends, she stands in the doorway, watching the sky turn shades of orange and pink. The children are inside, playing quietly now. Her heart is calm. She has nothing to chase, nothing to prove, just a lifetime behind her, a family beside her, and a quiet joy within her. The world may have moved forward, and she may have slowed down, but her life still blooms, through laughter, through wisdom, and through the simple act of being present. And in the silence of the evening, she smiles, knowing that age cannot touch the soul. Inside, where time cannot reach, she is forever young. The house still stands. It has seen many seasons come and go. Rain has tapped on its windows. Snow has rested on its roof. Sunshine has warmed its walls. Time has touched it gently, but clearly. Its wooden floors creak now, each step making a soft sound that echoes in the stillness. The paint on the walls has faded slightly, and some corners of the home feel tired. Yet it remains steady, like a memory that refuses to fade. She lives alone in this old house, the same one she moved into many years ago. She has walked through its rooms thousands of times. Her hands have opened the same doors, wiped the same counters, and lit the same lamps. Every object inside has a story. Every corner holds a moment from her past. She doesn't rush anymore. Her steps are slower. Her movements are gentle. In the kitchen, she prepares meals quietly. There is no need to hurry. The pots clink softly. The spoon stirs with care. She chops vegetables carefully and listens to the sound of water boiling. She cooks not for a full table, but for herself, and she does it with love. Even in simple meals, she finds joy. Sometimes she hums while she works. The tune may not be loud, but it carries warmth. It reminds her of her younger days, when the house was louder, filled with laughter, conversations, and the running of children's feet. Now it is quiet, but peaceful. She doesn't fear the silence. In fact, she welcomes it. In the quiet, she hears her thoughts more clearly. Outside, her garden blooms under her care. She tends to her plants daily. Her fingers brush against leaves, with tenderness, as if each flower is a friend. She waters them in the early morning, watching droplets fall onto the soil. The scent of earth rises around her. She knows the name of every flower, every herb. They are her silent companions, blooming under her watchful eye. Life didn't follow the path she once imagined. She had dreams. Some came true, others drifted away. There were plans that changed, roads that turned in unexpected directions. Some things she hoped for never arrived. Some people she loved left too soon. Yet, through all the surprises and disappointments, her journey turned out to be beautiful, in its own quiet way. She has laughed deeply and cried silently. She has experienced joy so strong it made her heart race, and sorrow so deep it left her breathless. Each memory, whether happy or painful, has shaped her. She doesn't regret the past. She holds it gently, like an old photograph, worn, soft, but precious. Now, her days are calm. She wakes with the sun, stretches slowly, and opens her curtains to let in the light. She makes her bed, tidies her room, and begins the day without stress. There's no need to race the clock anymore. Her time is hers alone. She drinks her tea near the window, holding the warm cup in both hands. Birds sing outside. The breeze moves the curtains slightly. She watches the world from her quiet corner. Children heading to school, neighbors watering their lawns, cars passing by. The world is still turning, but she feels no urge to chase after it. She has already lived her chapters. In her free time, she reads books that make her feel things. She enjoys stories that speak about life, family, and small joys. She writes too. Short notes, letters she never sends, and reflections on her life. Writing helps her make sense of everything she's lived through. Her notebooks are filled with memories and wisdom. Some afternoons she knits or sews. Her hands may be slower now, but they remember the patterns. Each thread tells a story of warmth given, of care passed on. She has made blankets, scarves, and soft toys over the years. She gives them as gifts, watching faces light up with surprise and gratitude. Her craft is not about perfection. It's about love. On rainy days, she lights a candle and listens to the sound of raindrops tapping on the roof. She finds comfort in small things: a warm blanket, a favorite chair, a simple soup. She doesn't wish for more. She is content, not because she has everything, but because she understands what matters most. She has learned to be her own friend. In her solitude, she has found herself. There are no crowds, no applause, but she feels full of experiences, full of thoughts, full of feelings. She understands herself more now than ever before. She knows what she likes, what calms her, what gives her strength. She no longer needs approval. She lives in quiet honesty. Her memories visit her like old friends. Some make her smile, others bring a tear, but she welcomes them all. She remembers the voice of her mother, the warmth of her father's hug, the sound of her children playing. She remembers walks on the beach, shared meals, quiet nights with someone she loved. These memories are her treasures. Though people come and go, she has learned how to hold on without holding too tight. She knows that letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means honoring the past while living in the present. And she does just that. She lives fully in each small moment. Sometimes a neighbor stops by with cookies. Sometimes she waves to children passing by. On holidays, her family visits, filling the house with laughter again. During those times, she feels the energy of the old days return for a while, like sunlight coming through an open window. And when they leave, she feels thankful, not lonely. She speaks softly now, but her words carry weight. They come from experience, not guessing. When someone listens, they learn. Not because she teaches like a school book, but because she speaks from her heart. Her advice is kind, not loud. She shares what she knows through stories, not instructions. She has lived long enough to understand that life is not about winning. It's about caring, about giving, about slowing down enough to notice the world around you. She finds music in silence, the kind of music that plays inside you when you are at peace. She finds beauty in simple acts: watering a plant, folding clothes, lighting a lamp. At night, she lights a small lamp in her living room. The house glows with warmth. She reads a little, writes a bit, or just sits and thinks. The clock ticks gently. There's no need to stay up late or wake up early. Her time belongs to her now, and she fills it with grace. She thinks of those she once loved, some still here, some gone. She holds them close in her heart. Sometimes she whispers their names, just to feel them near. She believes that love never leaves, it only changes form. It stays with you, in your thoughts, in your ways, in your silence. As she sits in the same chair she's used for years, she looks around the room and smiles. The furniture is old, but strong. The curtains are simple, but clean. The walls are plain, but they hold so many stories. This is her space, her safe place, her little world. Her life may not be filled with loud moments or big achievements, but it is rich. Rich in love. Rich in memories. Rich in meaning. She has found joy not by chasing it, but by welcoming it. By choosing to see beauty in what is already there. In her solitude, she is not lonely. She is surrounded by all she has lived, all she has loved, and all she continues to be. The house creaks, the tea steams, the plants bloom, and in all of this, she is content. She does not wish for yesterday, nor fear tomorrow. She lives today, with kindness, with purpose, with quiet joy, and that, to her, is enough. 50 years passed, Not in a loud rush, not with roaring winds, but like a soft breeze that touches your face and slips away. Time moved gently, quietly, as if it didn't want to disturb anyone. The world changed, and so did he, little by little. Now, he sits on an old wooden bench in the corner of a peaceful park. Trees surround him, tall and strong, their branches moving gently with the wind. Sunlight filters through the leaves and dances on the ground. He closes his eyes and lets the warmth touch his skin. The air smells of grass, fresh earth, and something older, something familiar. A few feet away, birds fly across the sky. Some land near his feet, pecking at crumbs on the ground. He watches them with calm eyes. Long ago, he had dreams as wide and free as those wings. He wanted to go places, do things that mattered, leave footprints in the world. Some dreams came true, some faded, and others flew far away, just like the birds he watches now. There's no anger in him, no deep sadness, just acceptance. Life has given him a little of everything: happiness, sorrow, love, heartbreak, laughter, and silence. It hasn't been a perfect journey, but it's been real, and that's enough. Sometimes, regret comes to visit. Not loudly, but like a quiet whisper that arrives in the evening. He thinks about choices he made, and those he didn't, and those he didn't. He remembers times he could have spoken but stayed silent, moments he should have held on but let go. But those thoughts don't hurt the way they once did. They sit beside him like old friends. They no longer ask for anything. They simply remind him he lived. In his lap lies a leather journal. Its corners are worn and the pages are slightly yellow. He doesn't write in it anymore. He just opens it from time to time, flipping through the pages. Each one holds something: a name, a place, a line of thought, a piece of the past. His handwriting isn't neat, but it's honest. Some lines are shaky, others strong. He reads them, not to record new things, but to remember what was once important. Some memories are so vivid, they feel close. One page reminds him of a rainy afternoon. He had no umbrella, but didn't mind. He walked slowly, feeling every drop. He remembers the smell of wet pavement and the rhythm of rain hitting the leaves. That moment returns every time he closes his eyes and listens to the rain. Another page brings back the taste of old tea, made with too many leaves and not enough sugar, served in a chipped mug. He used to drink it while talking to someone who made him feel understood. That memory is warm and a little bitter, like the tea itself. Children play in the distance. Their laughter floats in the air. It reminds him of simpler times, when the world felt big and full of wonder. He smiles, not because he misses being young, but because he's glad he once was. Those years helped shape him into the person he is today. He no longer rushes. There's no need. Every moment is enough. He has learned to sit with time, not chase it. He watches people pass by, some walking fast, others slowly. He nods to strangers and sometimes they smile back. It's a small connection, but it matters. His clothes are simple: a sweater, some trousers, comfortable shoes. His hands are wrinkled and his hair has turned gray, but his eyes are kind. They have seen many things, some beautiful, some painful, but they have not turned cold. They still hold light. Sometimes he takes out an old photograph tucked between the journal's pages. It's faded, the edges curled, but the faces are still visible. He touches it gently, remembering names, voices, and shared moments. Some of those people are gone now, but they live inside him, in his memories, in his smile, in the way he still speaks their favorite phrases. He thinks about how life moved on. Places he used to visit are now replaced with new buildings. Shops have changed, streets look different, and some trees have been cut down. But this park remains, and in many ways, so does he. He has become more patient with time. He knows that everything has a season. Joy doesn't stay forever, but neither does pain. Everything moves in circles. The hardest days pass, and the quietest ones teach the most. At home, he keeps things simple. A small bookshelf, a kettle for tea, a radio that plays soft music. He wakes up when the sun rises and sleeps when the stars take over. He finds peace in quiet routines, watering a plant, folding laundry, feeding a stray cat that visits now and then. He doesn't need much. He doesn't crave noise or crowds. He values depth over noise, sincerity over speed. Conversations with old friends or even a simple nod to a neighbor bring him comfort. He enjoys watching the sky change color as evening approaches, the way orange turns into pink and then fades into the calm of night. It makes him feel connected to something greater. When night falls, he sometimes lights a candle, not because he needs to see better, but because he likes the way it flickers. It reminds him of the gentle way life moves, never still, never too fast, just always shifting, always glowing in its own way. He remembers advice he once received. Live in a way that you can sit with yourself when you're old. Now, sitting. Here he realizes he can. He has made mistakes, yes, but he also made amends. He hurt and was hurt, but he forgave and was forgiven. That brings him peace. He does not think about what he missed. He thinks about what he had. A good conversation, a beautiful sunset, the joy of making someone laugh. Those are the treasures. He counts, not things, but moments. The wind picks up a little. Leaves dance across the path. He watches them go and it makes him smile. Like those leaves, he knows he too will one day be carried away, but not with fear, with acceptance, with quiet dignity. Sometimes young people sit near him. They talk about plans, dreams, worries. He listens. If they ask, he offers advice, but only gently. He tells them to hold on to kindness, to forgive quickly, and to enjoy the little things. He says, "One day, you'll find the greatest joy in a quiet cup of tea or the sound of birds in the morning." They often smile, not fully understanding, but that's okay. They will, in time. He looks at the sky once more. The clouds shift slowly. The world keeps spinning. And he, in his own small way, continues too. With his journal in hand, and the past softly whispering in his ear, he takes a deep breath. The park, the trees, the birds, all stay with him. He doesn't need to hold on tightly. Some things never leave you, even when you let them go. And so, he sits, not to wait for anything, not to remember every detail, but simply to be. In a time far from her younger days, she lives in a small, warm home filled with memories. The walls are decorated with photographs from long ago. Some are black and white, some are slightly yellowed with age, but all carry stories. Smiling faces of children, weddings, birthdays, and quiet moments fill each frame. Every picture tells a piece of her life, moments she holds close, moments that shaped her into who she is today. By the window, in the soft afternoon light, she sits quietly in her wooden rocking chair. The chair creaks gently as she moves back and forth, a familiar rhythm that brings her comfort. The air is calm. A breeze passes through the open window, carrying the scent of flowers from the garden outside. The curtains sway gently, and the sunlight rests softly on the floor. Scattered on a nearby table are old letters, some from friends, others from family. The ink is fading, but the words remain clear in her heart. She runs her fingers over the paper, remembering voices, laughter, and days long past. These letters are treasures. They speak of love, hope, sorrow, and dreams. Though the people who wrote them may be gone or far away, she keeps them close. They are a part of her, just like the memories they hold. Outside, the sound of children playing echoes in the air. Their laughter rings like music. They run freely, across the lawn, chasing each other, playing games, shouting with joy. She watches them with kind eyes, a soft smile resting on her lips. The children don't know how much life she has lived or how many lessons are hidden behind that smile. They don't realize how much she sees in their play, reminders of her own childhood, of simpler times filled with imagination and wonder. As she rocks in her chair, she doesn't feel burdened by age. Her body may have slowed down. Her hands may no longer move as quickly, but inside, she still carries the spirit of her younger self. That girl who once climbed trees, danced barefoot in the rain, and stayed up talking to the stars still lives within her. Her heart remembers the joys, the fears, the firsts and lasts. They haven't faded. They've simply grown quieter, softer, more tender with time. Her wrinkles are like lines in a book, each one telling a tale. They speak of years lived fully with courage and feeling. They hold the marks of laughter shared, tears wiped away, and wisdom gained through experience. She wears them with grace. To her, they are not signs of weakness or decay, but proof of strength and survival. Sometimes, people ask her if she misses the past. She smiles and says no, not really. She has loved, she has lost, she has lived. That's more than enough. She doesn't long to be young again. Instead, she treasures the present, this peaceful moment. The light through the window, the laughter outside, the scent of lavender in her garden. Each day now is slower, quieter, but also deeper. She no longer rushes through life. She takes her time, drinking tea slowly, watching the sun rise, listening to the birds sing. She has learned to see beauty in stillness. A blooming flower, the soft purr of her cat, the warmth of a knitted blanket. These little things are her joy. She has grown used to silence, but not in a lonely way. In the quiet, she hears things she never noticed before. The ticking of the clock, the flutter of a bird's wings, the wind passing through the trees, all speak in gentle tones. In these sounds, she finds calm. She doesn't need noise to feel alive. She has discovered that peace doesn't always come from action. Sometimes, it comes from simply being still. Her home is a place of comfort. It holds the scent of baked bread, of old books, of fresh flowers picked from her yard. Her shelves are filled with keepsakes. A shell from a beach trip, a tiny sweater, knitted for a grandchild, a teacup passed down from her mother. Every object has a memory tied to it, a thread connecting her to someone she once loved or something she once experienced. She isn't lonely. Her family visits often. Her children, now grown, bring their own little ones. Her grandchildren fill the house with noise and energy. They run through the halls, play with toys, and curl up beside her to hear stories. But the stories she tells aren't from books. They come from life itself. She tells them about a time when telephones had cords, when people wrote letters instead of messages. She describes how she met their grandfather, how they danced at their wedding, how they built a life from simple dreams. The children listen wide-eyed, curious about a world so different from their own. To them, her words are like magic. Like magic. In those moments, she feels young again. Not in her body, but in her spirit. The way her grandchild holds her hand or looks at her with wonder brings her back to the days when everything was new. She feels love in its purest form. It fills her heart and erases the years, even if just for a little while. She often reflects on the journey she has taken. It wasn't always smooth. There were rough roads, broken dreams, and moments of doubt. But there were also surprises, joys she never expected, and love in places she never thought to look. Life, she believes, is a book with chapters both joyful and painful. You don't skip the sad parts. You read them, learn from them, and turn the page. Now, in this chapter of her life, she feels strong in a new way. Not the strength of youth or speed, but the strength of understanding. She has seen the world change. She has let go of what no longer serves her. She has embraced the present with both hands. She no longer compares herself to others. She doesn't care for shiny things or loud praise. She knows what matters: kindness, truth, patience, and time well spent. She values conversations that come from the heart and moments that need no words at all. When night falls, she lights a small lamp. The soft glow fills the room. She wraps herself in a blanket, drinks warm tea, and listens to music that reminds her of dances, travels, and quiet evenings long ago. She isn't waiting for anything. She isn't wishing for something more. She is simply here, and that is enough. To her, age is not an enemy. It is a gift, another chapter, another chance to appreciate the present. She believes that growing older doesn't mean becoming less. It means becoming more aware, more forgiving, more grateful. Her days may be slower now, but they are rich in meaning. Every breath she takes is filled with the wisdom of experience. Every step she takes is lighter, not because she moves faster, but because she carries less worry. She has learned to let go of what she cannot change and to cherish what remains. When she closes her eyes at night, she doesn't fear sleep. She knows that tomorrow will come with its own light, its own sound, its own rhythm. And whatever it brings, she will face it with a heart that has lived fully. She is not defined by her past, though it walks with her. She is not trapped by her age, though it shows on her face. She is a woman who has embraced each stage of life with honesty, and in this gentle, beautiful time of now, she is more herself than ever before. He opens his eyes slowly each morning. The sun peeks gently through the curtains, spreading a soft golden light across the room. There is no alarm ringing, no rush to get out of bed, no deadlines to meet. He doesn't jump out of bed like he used to in the past. Now he takes his time, not because his body is weak, but because his heart is at peace. The world outside moves at its own pace, and so does he. The bed is warm, the blankets soft against his skin. He stretches his arms and listens to the faint sound of birds chirping outside the window. The wind moves gently through the trees, making the leaves rustle. It's a soothing sound, like nature whispering good morning. He lies there for a few minutes, simply enjoying the silence and the stillness. There is no reason to hurry. This is his time now. Outside, his garden is full of life. Flowers of every color bloom without being told to. Red roses, yellow sunflowers, white daisies, and small purple petals sway with the breeze. He doesn't keep a schedule for watering them. He simply tends to them when the moment feels right. The plants grow slowly but beautifully, just like his days now. Nature doesn't ask for speed. It flourishes with care, patience, and time. He gets out of bed and puts on his slippers. The wooden floor is cool under his feet. As he walks toward the kitchen, his dog comes to greet him. The little brown animal wags its tail, happy just to see him. There is something heartwarming in that simple welcome. No words, just love. His dog doesn't ask for much, just a little food, a short walk, and some affection. But it gives back so much: companionship, loyalty, and joy. He makes breakfast. Nothing fancy, just warm toast, eggs cooked just the way he likes them, and a cup of tea that smells like peace. He used to eat quickly, checking his phone or thinking about work. But now, he eats slowly, enjoying each bite. The food doesn't just fill his stomach, it feeds his soul. There's a comfort in preparing a meal for yourself. And when his dog sits beside him, hoping for a small treat, he laughs and gives in. That shared moment becomes a part of the day's quiet joy. The house is calm. There is no noise from televisions or phones. Instead, the ticking of the clock fills the space, reminding him that time still moves, even when everything feels still. The walls hold memories, pictures from the past, souvenirs from trips, books he once read on rainy afternoons. Everything has a place, a story, a memory attached to it. He steps out onto the porch with his cup of tea. The sun is higher now, lighting up the flowers and making the dew on the leaves shine like tiny jewels. He watches the bees fly from flower to flower, doing their work without stress. A squirrel runs across the fence. Birds hop in the grass, pecking at seeds. It's a world full of movement, yet it feels peaceful. The dog follows him outside and sits beside his chair. Together they watch the morning unfold. There is no conversation, no music, just the natural sounds of life happening, slowly. This is not emptiness. This is contentment. A kind of happiness that comes not from having more, but from needing less. Sometimes he thinks about the past, about the years he spent rushing through life, the long days, the short nights, the goals he chased, the things he thought he needed. He remembers waking up in a hurry, driving through traffic, skipping meals, working late. He was busy, too busy to notice the sunrise, to listen to the rain, to taste the morning air. Now, he doesn't live like that. He doesn't measure time in hours or minutes. He measures it in moments, like the way the sunlight warms his face or how his dog rests its head on his foot. He values feelings more than results. He doesn't miss meetings. He makes memories. He takes a walk in the garden. The grass feels soft under his feet. He kneels to touch the soil, checking the roots of his plants. There's something healing about this simple task. It connects him to the earth, to the rhythm of life. He talks to his plants, sometimes out loud, sometimes in his mind. He believes they understand him in some quiet way. Back inside, he reads a few pages from an old book. He underlines a sentence that feels true. He keeps a notebook, not for plans or appointments, but for thoughts that visit him. A line of poetry, a reflection, a memory. The words aren't always perfect, but they're his. Writing them down helps him remember what matters. Some days, neighbors wave from across the street. They don't always stop to chat, but their smiles are enough. A friendly nod, a quick hello, a simple connection. That's all it takes to feel seen. Other days, friends drop by for tea. They talk about everything and nothing. They sit together in the backyard, watching the day stretch out, like a long ribbon. He no longer worries about being productive every hour. His value isn't in how much he does, but in how deeply he lives. A nap in the afternoon, a warm shower, a slow walk at sunset, these are not wasted moments. They are part of a life lived with awareness. He listens to music sometimes, old songs that remind him of days gone by. He closes his eyes and lets the melodies take him back, to dances under the stars, long drives on empty roads, laughter shared in quiet corners. The past is not a place he longs for, but a space he visits gently. At night, he lights a small candle. Its soft glow fills the room. He sits by the window and watches the sky change color. The stars begin to appear, slowly, quietly. He doesn't name them, but he looks at them with wonder. There's comfort in knowing that some things stay the same no matter how much the world changes. Before bed, he brushes his dog gently. The soft fur feels good in his hands. The dog's eyes close, enjoying the care. They've grown older together, and the bond they share is simple but strong. He writes a few lines in his notebook before turning off the lights. Sometimes it's a thought, other times just a word that stayed with him. He doesn't write to impress. He writes to remember. Not the big events, but the little things. The way the wind felt on his face, the scent of fresh mint in the garden, the joy of being still. Then he lies down, pulls the blanket over him, and closes his eyes. He breathes slowly. There's no worry about tomorrow. No rush to start the next day. He knows that when the sun rises again, he will wake in his own time. The world will be waiting, not to demand, but to greet him gently. This is not sadness. This is not loneliness. This is peace. The kind of calm he once dreamed of when life moved too fast. The kind of stillness that doesn't ask for more. The kind that feels like coming home. She no longer sits by the window, hoping someone will arrive. The sound of footsteps at the door no longer fills her imagination. The phone remains mostly silent, except for the occasional ring that brings a memory or a reminder. But strangely, this doesn't hurt anymore. Her days are no longer built around others arriving or calling. Her sense of self is no longer tied to busy conversations or constant attention. Her soul is not hollow. Her life is not lacking. Instead, it is filled with a kind of happiness she never expected, one born from her own company. In earlier years, she used to believe that happiness came from being surrounded by people. Visitors, calls, messages, greetings. These felt like proof that she mattered. But over time, those things became less frequent. And in their absence, she discovered something surprising. The quiet wasn't her enemy. It was a friend waiting to be understood. It wasn't loneliness. It was peace she hadn't known before. Now, the kitchen becomes a place of comfort. She bakes small cakes and warm bread, not to serve anyone, but simply because it brings her joy. The sweet smell of vanilla, the sound of eggs cracking, the way dough softens in her hands, all of it becomes a little celebration of life. She places the finished pastries on a plate, smiles, and pours herself a cup of tea. These moments are gentle and soft, and they make her feel cared for, even though no one else is there. When she opens the window, birds gather on the ledge. She talks to them softly, not expecting replies, but still feeling heard. Their bright feathers and curious eyes bring color to her mornings. Sometimes they sing. Their songs are not meant for her alone, but she feels included. She throws small pieces of bread out for them, watches as they flutter down, and feels a kind of connection that doesn't need words. Music often plays in the background. Not loud songs, just soft melodies that make her want to move. Sometimes, she stands up and dances. Just a few steps, just a small twirl, often in her slippers. There's no one around to see her, no one to laugh or applaud, but that's the beauty of it. She doesn't dance to be watched. She moves because it feels right, because something inside her is still alive and wants to express itself. The mirror shows her silver hair, soft wrinkles, and tired eyes, but also a quiet glow. She touches her face gently and smiles. Time has left marks on her skin, but also wisdom in her spirit. Her hands, once always busy for others, now fold laundry in slow motions or brush the leaves of her plants. These simple tasks bring peace. There's no rush, no deadlines, just calm movement and a rhythm that suits her pace. Books line the shelf, worn and familiar. She reads them slowly, not to finish quickly, but to enjoy each page. Stories take her places she has never been, remind her of feelings she once had, or show her new ways of seeing the world. Sometimes she closes a book and sits quietly, letting the characters stay with her a little longer. She writes short notes on scraps of paper, thoughts, memories, dreams. She keeps them in a jar, a collection of her inner world. Plants cover the windowsill and corners of the room. She waters them with care, talks to them as if they understand. Each flower, each green leaf is a companion. She names them sometimes, just for fun. Watching them grow slowly reminds her that everything beautiful takes time. Just like she did. She knits scarves and blankets, not because anyone asked, but because creating something with her hands gives her a sense of purpose. Each stitch is like a tiny heartbeat. She gives some away to charities. Others she folds neatly in drawers. They are pieces of her effort, made with love. Photographs fill the walls. Smiling faces, joyful moments, faraway places. She no longer feels sad when she looks at them. They are not reminders of what's gone, but proof of a full life. A journey walked step by step. A path filled with love, even if it didn't always go as planned. She keeps a journal by her bed. At night, she writes a few lines, how the clouds looked, what the birds sang, what she felt when the wind blew through the trees. These words are not shared with anyone. They're just for her. Writing them helps her sleep peacefully, knowing she paid attention to the beauty of her day. Sometimes the neighbors wave from their gardens. A young child might run past her gate and shout hello. These small connections matter. She doesn't need long conversations to feel part of the world. A smile, a glance, a short moment of kindness. They are enough. Her mornings begin with quiet routines. A warm drink, soft music, and a little stretch by the window. She doesn't rush. She doesn't need to. Every morning feels like a gift. She listens to the breeze, watches the sky change color, and lets her thoughts drift gently. Afternoons are filled with light chores, dusting shelves, feeding the birds, watering her flowers. These tasks give her something to do, but more than that, they give her peace. She's not doing them because she has to. She does them because they bring calm. In the evenings, the sun begins to set, casting golden light across the room. She turns on a small lamp, lights a candle, and lets the glow wrap around her. Sometimes she hums a tune, something her mother once sang, something old and sweet. The sound echoes softly through the space. She doesn't miss the noise of the past, the loud gatherings, the crowded rooms, the endless plans. She values silence now. Silence is her companion. In it, she can hear her own thoughts. In stillness, she can feel her emotions without pressure. Her heart feels full, not with people, but with peace. Not with attention, but with understanding. She spent years waiting for someone to notice her, to call, to come by. But now, she's learned to notice herself. She gives herself the care she once gave to others. She smiles for her own sake. At night, she wraps herself in a soft blanket, places her tea on the table, and looks out the window. The stars blink above the rooftops. The moon shines gently, as if it too understands quiet joy. She whispers a few words to the night. "Thank you, I am well," and turns off the light. She lies in bed with a calm heart. Not many plans for tomorrow. Not many worries from today. Just a steady, peaceful breath, and the knowledge that she has found something rare. The joy of being alone without being lonely. The comfort of her own company. The quiet love of a life lived honestly. 50 years had to pass for her to arrive. Here, it wasn't easy. She cried, she waited, she longed. But slowly, step by step, she stopped needing others to fill the spaces inside her. She discovered she was enough, that her own presence could bring peace, that her own laughter could light up a room. Now, she wakes up not to wait, but to live. She doesn't search outside anymore. She's already found what matters, right here, inside her own heart. Many years have passed since his youth. The seasons have come and gone, leaving behind the soft traces of time on his skin and in his memory. His steps are slower now, his voice quieter, his days simpler. But today, as he sits in his old armchair by the window, something extraordinary is happening. A small child, only a few weeks old, lies gently in his arms. It is his great-grandchild, a new branch of the family tree, full of promise and wonder. He gazes at the baby's face with eyes that have seen decades of life, both joy and sadness, victories and losses. And as he looks at the tiny face, he sees something familiar. The shape of the nose, the curve of the chin, and especially the eyes. They remind him of himself when he was a boy. It's like looking into a mirror that reflects not the present, but the beginning of everything. He doesn't speak much anymore. Conversations exhaust him more than they once did. Words are fewer, sentences shorter, but his silence is not empty. It's full of meaning. A gentle smile spreads across his lips, and that smile carries with it a lifetime of stories. It holds memories of laughter-filled days, hard lessons learned, and gentle moments that have never faded. His grin doesn't need to explain anything. It says it all. The room is filled with warmth. Sunlight falls gently across the wooden floor. A breeze from the garden carries in the scent of blooming flowers. Birds sing in the distance, and outside the trees sway slightly in the wind. Everything feels peaceful. He rocks back and forth, slowly in the chair, holding the child close to his chest. He feels the soft thump of a tiny heartbeat pressing against him. It is steady, new, and full of life. That small rhythm brings tears to his eyes, not of sadness but of deep, grateful emotion. His journey has been long, decades filled with dreams, work, family, and lessons. There were times when the path was not easy. He remembers nights when he worried about the future, days filled with struggle, times of great loss. He has cried behind closed doors, whispered prayers no one heard, and carried burdens silently. But now, holding this newborn, none of that feels heavy anymore. All the waiting, all the struggles, all the passing years suddenly feel like steps that led to this moment. The child squirms slightly in his arms, then settles again, comforted by the warmth of the old man's body. He strokes the baby's soft head with a trembling hand, marveling at how delicate and new it all is. The baby yawns, then makes a small sound, as if trying to speak. He chuckles softly, not loudly, just a breath of laughter, and the sound feels like music in the quiet room. Photographs hang on the walls, generations captured in black and white, color, and fading prints. His eyes drift toward them, resting on familiar faces. Some are gone now, others have grown up, moved on, started their own lives. He remembers each person, each moment. He thinks of his children, now parents themselves, and their children now starting families of their own. Time has flown, but love has remained constant. He has seen the world change in ways he never imagined. From letters written by hand to messages sent through screens. From quiet villages to busy cities. From days of waiting for news to instant connection. But even with all these transformations, some things have stayed the same. One of them is love. The kind that binds people across generations. The kind that doesn't need words to be felt. It's the kind of love that wraps around you like a blanket on a cold night, strong and comforting. He remembers his own grandfather and the feeling of sitting in his lap, hearing old stories about times long gone. Now, he is the one holding a tiny person, too small to understand the past but big enough to carry the future. He doesn't know if he will be here long enough to tell this child stories, but maybe he doesn't need to. Maybe just this moment is enough. The baby's hand moves slightly, brushing against his shirt. The tiny fingers curl into a loose fist, and he places his finger gently into the small palm. The child holds on, not tightly, but enough to feel connected. That touch, simple as it is, feels like magic. It's a reminder that love doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it's just a heartbeat, a breath, a smile. He closes his eyes for a moment and lets the memories flow. He sees the day he got married, the moment he first became a father, the times he ran through fields as a child, the birthdays, the holidays, the quiet afternoons in the garden. He remembers old friends, some long gone, and moments of pure happiness that were once ordinary, but now feel sacred. He opens his eyes again and looks down at the baby. The little one is asleep now, completely at peace. And for the first time, in a long while, he feels truly content. There's nothing more he needs, nothing more he's waiting for. This single moment carries enough beauty to last a lifetime. His family sits nearby, watching quietly. They don't want to interrupt the tenderness between old age and new life. They see the way his hands, though wrinkled and slow, cradle the infant with perfect care. They see the way his eyes shine, not with regret, but with deep satisfaction. There is pride in his gaze, and something even more powerful: acceptance. Later, when someone takes the baby back to rest, he leans back in his chair and lets out a soft sigh. It's not a sound of sadness, but of release. Like a breath he's been holding for many years. He feels light, as if all the heaviness he carried has finally lifted. The room feels quiet again, but not empty. There is still laughter in the hallway, gentle footsteps in the background, soft music playing in another room. He looks out the window one more time. The sky is a mix of colors, blue, pink, and gold. Birds fly across it freely. The trees dance in the wind. Everything feels alive, and he is still here to see it, still here to hold, to love, to feel. Time may have taken many things, speed, energy, people, but it has given him this, a moment that makes every day before it worthwhile. All the waiting, all the doubts, all the tears, all the long nights, they now seem like roads that led here, and for him, that's enough. The world spins forward. Days pass quickly now, but love stays. It does not fade. It moves through time, from one heart to the next. He has passed it on, just by holding a child and offering a smile.